Now personally, this was my 2024 favorite. The Birthday Boy! Howdy y'all, I'm Mickey, back with the second half of the 12 Days of Vlogmas. Hope all of y'all had a wonderful Christmas, if you celebrate, and if not, I hope you had a nice first day of Hanukkah, or just a lovely Wednesday. The videos in this half are likely going to be less traditionally vlog-like, mostly just because we're kind of just unwinding from the year, and also because we live in Orlando, and from the 25th to the 31st is kind of the worst time to attempt to do literally anything. So homebodies we shall be. Which works for me because I always like to do some nice feeling and reflecting at the end of the year, looking back at what happened, and, you know, preparing myself with a fresh mindset to go into the new year ahead. And I know that time is fake and technically nothing changes, but it's good, I feel, to have, like, a thing to kind of just reset yourself every so often. And I just like the New Year's festivities. And I thought that a fun way to launch myself into this kind of reflecting would be focusing on the things that I really liked this year. I've seen those monthly favorites videos that YouTubers have done before, like February faves, and so I figured I would just do that, but for the whole year. For books, I listed 2 titles that came out this year. I did do a lot of reading this year, unfortunately. Definitely didn't do as much as I intended to. But I did really like Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which is the sequel to House on the Cerulean Sea, which is my favorite book. It was really nice to step back into the world of Marsyas Island, is it pronounced Marsyas? And to see all of the children again. And I did definitely appreciate getting more insight into Arthur and seeing him kind of go through his almost villain era. Arthur Parnassus deserves to go feral more often, TBH. And the second book I wrote down was A Sweet Sting of Salt, which also came out this year. This one I marked down in my Storygraph TBR sometime last year, when I saw, like, promotional stuff for it, because it was being promoted as a sapphic retelling of the Selkie Wife tale. And I love lesbians, and I love Selkies. So it seems like the perfect fit for me. And I did enjoy reading it, so past me was right. TV, I did watch quite a few different shows this year, which might not seem like a remarkable thing, except that I don't tend to watch a bunch of different things. It's just that I had a bunch of interests that were all, like, updating at the same time. Because, like, Star Wars keeps putting out shows, and Doctor Who keeps putting out seasons. You know, I've got things that I'm keeping tabs on. And Doctor Who was one of the shows that I wrote down as the 2 that I was, like, really into this year. I really like 15. I like him as a doctor. I thought the Christmas special today was interesting. I liked it. Ruby was alright. I don't know, I wish that there had been more time with Ruby, and I wish that she had been able to have, like, that, I don't know what it is. I wish that she was able to have filler scenes with the Doctor, you know? Scenes that weren't meant on moving the story from plot A to plot B, but instead just her and the Doctor building the relationship between the two of them. That's what made the old companions that are seen as, like, iconic companions feel so iconic, was we got to know them as people. And I feel like Ruby Sunday walked out of the show and I knew barely any more about her than I knew going into her run. I don't know. I want to love her, and I feel like I would have if she'd had more time. I hope the next companion is not rushed in the same way. Bring back filler. That's my official television hot take. We need to bring back filler. We need filler scenes. We need filler episodes. We need stuff that exists specifically to bring more depth to the characters that we are meant to care about, without just jumping from point to point to point to point, so that we never actually see who these guys are outside of when they are in crisis fighting mode. Anywho, I still liked this season of Doctor Who. Loved Rogue, the episode and the character. And I feel like the other show I wrote down shouldn't be a surprise at all if you know anything about me or saw the other videos on my channel. It's fun. I've been keeping track of my hyperfixations this year with a kind of color-coded calendar, and it's blue up until like mid-February, and then from mid-February down to the beginning of November, it's just solid red. Because in mid-February, I finally gave in and watched this little has-been hotel show that everyone was talking about. And I thought it was fun. I thought the characters were fun. I loved the soundtrack. I was getting more and more into it, and I heard people mentioning, little whispers, that there was another show set in the same universe with different characters on YouTube. And I went to Jack and was like, yo, you should check out this other show set in the same universe. It could be fun. Famous last words. It was all over from that point on. Which is fine, because I love Hell of a Boss, and so do my friends. So it's a fun thing that we can all just bond over. I also thought about putting on the list, even though there was no updates to the show this year. I wasn't particularly watching it, but I feel myself falling back into my Owl House phase. Just like on the brink of my consciousness, Rain Whispers is standing there. They're just waiting for me to fall back in. The Owl House resurgence is real. Speaking of stuff that did not come out this year, for movies, the first one I put was Luca. Luca's my favorite movie, so this isn't that unusual, but at the end of last year, around this time, 2023, I felt whispers of Luca interest just reappearing in my brain. I thought, maybe I should rewatch it, get back into that, and it got me. It wasn't even the Luberto art from the person who worked on the movie that got me back into it. I was already back in the Luca headspace when the art came out. And then I was sent the art by multiple people because I was in Luca mode. I watched the movie 8 or 9 times that I remember, including multiple times in theaters this year. And 4 in 1 week, one time in January. I'm not kidding, I was in the trenches of hyperfixation. Sorry to Jack, who had to just every so often hear a little bop 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 coming from the living room TV. Not that sorry though, because he will hear it again. The other movie I wrote down did come out this year, and no, it's not Wicked, though I did like Wicked. The Wild Robot, oh my gosh, it is my favorite movie that came out this year. I think it's the best movie that came out, at least that I've seen. It was incredible, it was beautiful, it was heartwarming and heartbreaking all at once. That movie made me sob, and you wouldn't know it, but I don't cry at movies, like ever. Movies don't make me cry, so the fact that this movie made me cry as hard as it did, I don't have the words for it. The Wild Robot was just so good. Music, I have a lot of stuff written here because I feel like 2024 was like a good year for music. At least for me it was. The big thing that I was into musically this year, other than the Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss soundtracks, was Epic the Musical. I am a Greek mythology kid at heart, and I love a good retelling of a classic myth. And Epic was just epic. That was lame, sorry. But I love Epic. I've had so much fun this year listening to each saga as they dropped, just listening through, having so much fun with it, using the songs to daydream later, because even outside of the context of Epic, they are incredible songs for daydream scenarios. I'm sad my boy Polites got sniped so early on But, he stayed relevant. He stayed showing up. So, slay. You know who else was slaying? The final saga of Epic was released today, which means that Epic has concluded. And I'm feeling a little emotional about that. But that's fine. All things must end, and it means that we get to enjoy it in its entirety now. What a new, lovely experience to have. Aside from that, Joe Serafini's been releasing his own music, which has been fun. I, like any other well-respected gay person, really got into Chapel Roan this year. And specific songs I've had on loop recently include Jesus from Texas, Fable, and Eve. And no, my past religious trauma is definitely not contributing at all to that track list there. Why would you even say that? And the last little category I have written down is apps. I'm not talking about social media apps here. The first one I have listed is Finch, which is a self-care app that drives you to do self-set tasks throughout the day to give your little bird energy so that they can go on ventures around the world. This is Fincherolly. They are a little bird who goes on adventures around the world. They're kind of negative and they dislike a lot of stuff, but I think I've figured out how to make them like things. Like, I can't just... They disliked Frosty the Snowman, like the song and the concept, because they think the song was lying. They don't like the idea that they were being lied to about this tale of a talking snowman. Fincherolly's just a temperamental child. And I'm having fun with watching all the stuff progress with them. And some of the stuff that you get later on ties back to earlier stuff. There's like lore that develops with your little bird as they continue to explore the world. It's really fun. My friends downloaded it early this year and convinced me and Jack to get back into it. And now all of our birds are friends. And we push each other to do things like drink water. That one's aimed at me. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm aiming that at someone else. I get a lot of drink water notifications. And then my little bird motivates me to actually do things like make my bed every morning and drink water. If I drink the water, then I get the micro pets. And I like the micro pets. This bird is tricking me into taking care of myself. The second app I have listed is my bestie from the last video, Cookie Clicker. Now, I didn't download Cookie Clicker this year. Apparently, I downloaded it about 4.5 years ago. But earlier this year, a massive update came that gave, like, all of the buildings to the app and a ton of new heavenly upgrades and seasons. So now we have the holidays, which is why I'm currently working on getting all of the reindeer. And I finally had a shiny Wrinkler spawn in to get one of the shadow achievements. I really like Cookie Clicker. I like games that the whole point is just I do something simple and a number goes up. I like to watch the number get bigger. And I do love the vaguely cultish vibes of it. I do like a good fictional cult. And the last app I have written down is one that I downloaded very recently. Pokemon TCGP. It's the Pokemon card collecting and trading game as an app. My coworker had it and kept telling me to get it over and over, and then it was like their last day before they left town for the holidays, and they finally got me to download it. I'm like, okay, I guess the two of us will have it. And then I went on Twitter and like, suddenly everyone I follow had it as well. I feel like this Pokemon app just kind of spawned in one day, and everyone had it. It's basically just collecting the cards and then battling in the card form of battle in an app. Which is good fun for me, as somebody who's collected Pokemon forever and has over 2,000 cards in my physical collection. Now I get to collect the cards in 2 mediums. And that's all the things I have written down. I think it's nice to, take a moment, sit, reflect, think about the things we really like. What were some of y'all's favorite things this year? Maybe we had some same faves, or completely different ones. Either way is fun. And I like to sit here and think about the things that I liked so much this year, because then I get to get excited thinking about what kinds of things will I like next year. A new year is a whole new year to discover new favorites. Whether they come out for the first time, or you discover them for the first time, or you go back to something that you already enjoyed, there are so many favorites out there to be had. And I, for one, am excited to see which new ones come my way. But for now, this is it. Ciao!